The ongoing Red Bull saga is one that will continue to define the season for better or for worse. The impact of the drama both on and off track has been all-encompassing, and the winners, losers and victims of the plethora of situations seems to be changing on a daily basis. At both teams that fall under the Red Bull banner, there are drivers that have been given a very simple but potentially catastrophic ultimatum, and that is to get better or to get out. That point has been understood for quite a while now. However, it doesn't seem like the situation is quite as simple as it first looked, as a key member of the team has spoken out about how the team is aiming to help one driver while damning the other one into retirement. And well, let's just say that neither driver will be all that happy to hear what Helmut Marko has had to say this past week. Want to know why Helmut Marko has just delivered Daniel Ricciardo a career death sentence? He isn't best pleased, and he has made it very clear as to why he has to get out of the way. And stick around, because the Sergio Perez pity party is in full swing at Red Bull, but just how long can it last? And more importantly, how long can he take it? So, Daniel Ricciardo defiantly claimed that RB was not a junior team, claiming that if it was, he wouldn't be there. The Red Bull sister/junior team has been suffering a perpetual identity crisis, swinging up and down the championship standings over the years with more rebrands than a Silicon Valley startup company, and it has made the priorities of the team hard to understand from the outside looking in. It seems that they're equally hard to understand from the inside of the team too, with the insistence of mutiny and self-reliance perpetuated by Ricciardo, and earlier in the year, team boss Laurent Mekies being consistently rebuffed by the higher-ups in the Red Bull main team. While Mekies has been less spoken about the individuality of Alfa Minardi Rosso Bull Toro Carb, Daniel Ricciardo's recent insistence that he wouldn't be at the team if it was a junior team was recently called out by Helmut Marko, who basically said, "Exactly, that's why you shouldn't be there." Marko had this to say when he was discussing Red Bull's reason for retaining Perez after the summer break and their decision not to promote Daniel into the main team seat. It was a clear statement from the shareholders that Racing Bulls is a junior team, and this route is how the future will look. Which is a pretty slam dunk way of telling Ricciardo to do one. It's been clear from the start that the Honey Badger is in the sister team at the behest of team principal Christian Horner, but it does seem that the experiment is now on the edge of proving to be a huge waste of time. While this may sound harsh, the whole idea of putting Daniel in the RB was to give him a platform to earn his way back into the Red Bull main team next to Max Verstappen, and in doing so denying the seat to Red Bull Juniors, which are now being bottlenecked behind him. The situation could have been Liam Lawson having at least a season's worth of experience, possibly even a season and a half if he were to be brought in after De Vries. But instead, Ricciardo has taken up a slot in the sister team and not made nearly enough progress to be considered for the main team. And don't just take our word for it, take Helmut Marko's, who is clearly furious that the Red Bull Junior team is currently not holding any Red Bull Junior drivers. As he said, Daniel was put in the car, and if he would have been significantly faster than Yuki Tsunoda, there was an idea to bring him back to Red Bull Racing. But he also had this up and down, so far he didn't fulfill the criteria to be a Red Bull Racing driver. And so, just how long can he stay there? Liam Lawson is a free agent at the end of the year if his trust is betrayed, and by then it will be too late to get a seat anywhere else, as the grid will be tied down in anticipation of 2026. Not only that, but Red Bull may soon have a Formula 2 champion on their hands in Isaac Hadjar, who seems to be the real deal and has the perfect attitude to punch up into Formula 1, so room at the junior team will be all important. At the moment, it seems Marko's ideal situation is for Lawson to be at RB this coming season and then progressing to Red Bull for the new regulations if he proves worthy, with Hadjar stepping up in 2026 when Tsunoda likely departs, potentially leaving room for the exciting prospect of F3 hopeful Arvin Lindblad. Well, as much as Daniel has insisted that he is comfortable at RB, his language surrounding his stint at the team would point to the contrary, and his recent insistence about it not being a junior team just seems to be him clinging on to his last bastion in the sport. Despite his insistence that he is comfortable at RB, we'll let you be the judge of whether these are the words of a man in a comfortable position. It's not like I have a I don't care approach, but my perspective is that all of this now is a bonus because I really thought at the end of 2022 maybe I would never race Formula 1 again. So to have this second chance, if there is going to be some pressure, then okay, let's take it on. Nothing can really hurt me anymore. I can't control anything that's going to happen. I can control what happens on track. I don't even take it race by race, I take it session by session. It's clear that no matter how he approaches it, Daniel has a maximum of 10 rounds and potentially a minimum of 4 if we're giving him the same time frame as Sergio Perez to improve his performance in the car and demonstrate why he should either usurp the second seat in the main team or why he should be retained in the second team and thus deny the progression of the Red Bull Junior Academy driver products that Helmut Marko is having to juggle. At some point, it will start costing them drivers with a high potential who are likely to progress in the second team, more so than its incumbent driver, or could even cost them a driver who did everything he possibly could and took the most of the opportunities in the seat when he was given them last year. Another driver who may not exactly be thankful of Helmut Marko's outspoken nature, and not for the first time, is Sergio Perez, who recently was given the shameful diagnosis of needing a car on easy mode by the Red Bull advisor. It was a double-edged comment by Marko, who in one sentence backed Sergio to get back into the mix, while also saying that he can't handle this season's car. However, the advisor's sentiment may well have been flawed, as we'll get into in a moment. For the time being, this is what the advisor had to say in regards to Sergio Perez's hopes for the rest of the season. We believe that we can turn it round and make it more stable for him. To be teammate to Max Verstappen is not the nicest thing in Formula 1. Checo has his merits, he's won races. Our discussion was not just about drivers, it was regular discussions we had of what we can do to improve the situation. We have to try and make the car more easy to drive. The more difficult the car is to drive, the more the difference to Max comes out because he's such an outstanding talent. So, the car is just too hard for Sergio. That's the be-all and end-all of it, according to Marko. However, I think it's fair to say that the current state of Red Bull's season would say otherwise. The car isn't just bad for Sergio, the car is categorically bad for Max. Compared to the start of the year, it appears to be a bit of a dog. Red Bull's development across the year has not only let Max down and allowed the pack to catch up, it has also thrown Sergio to the wolves by no longer compensating for the fact that Max is categorically a stronger driver in the pointy car that Red Bull typically provides. Red Bull claiming that the car needs to just be made easier for Sergio isn't entirely true, as Max has appealed to the team to just do a better job full stop for both of them, and if the team were to improve overall, then Sergio would no longer be an issue. However, it would seem that the wishes that Max may have for the team are somewhat far-fetched, with McLaren and Mercedes posing legitimate threats in the past few races, and Ferrari threatening to sort themselves out as well. Red Bull are no longer the top dog that they once were, meaning that they can't afford to skew their car so heavily towards one side of the garage, and the imbalance in the approach to how the car functions has now rendered the team unable to react quickly to the changing landscape. Whether the team can get back on the straight and narrow remains to be seen, but the constructor seems destined to fall away from the Milton Keynes team, and for as long as Max continues to finish down in 5th, the door has been opened up for someone else to sweep him for the driver's title. If Red Bull think the scrutiny from outside the team about their drivers is already intense, they should fear the whiplash from within the team if they keep constantly letting their main man down.